I'm never really sure where to look on these videos, especially as I'm still using my iPhone because I can't work out how to use my camera. So sorry if I'm looking in the wrong place. I finally got around to filming a video of our living room, and it's been quite a few months transforming it because it was such a boring, dull room to begin with, and I'll try and put a photo in of how it looked to begin with to show what I've tried to do with it with very little money, and I'm happy with the result, even though it's a hodgepodge of lots of different things. But then I like things clashing a bit and not quite mixing. So I'm standing with my back to it at the moment, and I'll just turn the I realised I have to stop the video to turn the camera around, I think. So, to begin again, here is our living room, dining room, actually living room, dining room, kitchen. There's my little corner with my books. There's the TV, technical stuff, which I'd like not to be there, but you know, this is modern living. And here's the dining table and some shelves. There's our couch and a bookcase. Can't really get that much in on this iPhone. And then through this doorway is the little galley kitchen, I think it's called. Now, I'll take you through bit by bit what I did to transform this room from a pretty anodyne, miserable place to what I now think is a pretty and homely and just unique kind of room. So first of all, we couldn't change the curtains, so unfortunately we had to work around that, and we couldn't get rid of things like that ugly see the kind of boat-shaped wine holder, because all the furniture is not ours and it's just rented. Thankfully the table and chairs are not too bad. The couch was pretty ugly. It's like a dirty blue corduroy, so I covered it up with some cheap blue throws and a red quilt that I had in the little studio flat. I think that was from Maid. And I bought some cheap cushions, and very loosely the colour scheme was red and blue, because I already had a blue blanket and a red blanket, and because the couch was blue and the curtains actually have a greyish blue and brown. So then we bought the cheapest rug we could find that fitted the space from IKEA, hence this not brilliant rug, but sort of okay. We also got a little, is that an ottoman? Which is really handy, and it's got some not so nice kind of glittery buttons, but I cover it up most of the time with a tea tray and a blanket. And then behind it, that ugly bookcase was here. Can't do anything about that, so I've covered it as best I can with pictures, cards, boxes, some fake plants. I did have real plants on there, but then when I watered them, the water spilled so many times and left black marks on the wood. Again, the picture frames and boxes are very loosely meant to be a red and blue theme, although there is a kind of green as well. Then some pictures I bought from junk shops, an old print I had framed, and 3 really other cheap pictures I think I got in IKEA. The little lamp I had in the studio in Fulham, some flowers to pretty the place up, and a very, very cheap little table. There's some ugly storage boxes hidden away down there. A very cheap little table I found on Wayfair, And funnily enough, sitting next to the ugly bookcase, because the little table, I think it's called a console table, is not quite so ugly, it kind of, I think, mutes the ugliness, the unsightliness of the wooden bookcase and kind of blends it in. Then moving around here, I've got a Botticelli print I got in Florence a couple of years ago. It's actually just a piece of wrapping paper, and I got a cheap IKEA frame. A picture from the junk shop in Hampstead. This table was here, and thankfully it's not too bad at all. To hide the ugly radiator underneath, I've just put some boxes, and although they get on Dave's nerves, I still think it looks a bit better. And there's all my greeting cards in the one, I think it's music stuff in the other one, and more greeting cards and folders of lyrics. Then again, some really cheap pictures, a vase from Oliver Bonus, just pretty candles, a tray from India Jane. That tray is also from India Jane. I really like both of those. And then I think that lamp is from Wilko, believe it or not. I've hidden the base, which is really not very sightly. And different parts of the room each have different vague colour schemes. So I guess this corner is sort of sage greens and pinks. And this is my little corner with my books. And although of course Dave can sit here if he wants, although he wouldn't really fit in that chair. In fact, not many people can fit in that chair because it's old and very tiny. Then I decided to spoil myself and buy some prints, some canvases online. This is a Klimt, and I think this is my favourite picture in the whole room, the girl with the pink background. And then there are two other canvases, I think both by Swedish artists, but I can't remember the names, and I just absolutely love the colours in both of them. And they kind of work, I think, in this bit of the room. And then I got this rather hackneyed, but still I think kind of pleasing map of a bit of New York in IKEA, and that kind of fills up that bit of wall space. And I got this enormous picture of what looks like a Parisian street or rooftops, also from IKEA. And although I don't know what I was thinking when I bought it, actually on top of the bookcase there, I think is okay. It's almost like there's a big window at the top of the bookcase, and I'm looking out not onto Canary Wharf, but somewhere else, a bit more eclectic, with a bit more history. Okay, sorry about that. I just had a phone call I had to take. So yeah, I've got my little library corner, and a view of sorts, a room with a view. This is the actual view, which is pretty pleasant really, all things considered. The buildings are pretty grim, but that's actually the sea, and we sometimes see big ships sailing down there, old-fashioned ships too, and there's the city over there. And the reason I've got the lights on in here today is because it's patchy sun, so I was hoping it would be sunny, but anyway. So then I covered a very unsightly looking glass modern TV table with some tablecloths, and I tried to brighten up the window space with lots of, well, 3 quite thin window boxes. And although they're plastic, I think they don't really look that plasticky, and they're the closest I can come at the moment to a white picket fence. And I filled them with lots of, I think that's scabious, caval, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it begins with a K. Some sunflowers, which are coming on really well. Then I've got rosemary and thyme, more sunflowers, chili, more sunflowers, and oh, there's my old ivy, which has survived pretty much everything. Some roses, and oh yeah, and some chives in the corner. So then what else do we have? Okay, so we have the table and chairs. This really gorgeous, I think it's gorgeous, was probably a bit too sweet for lots of people. This pink tablecloth is a vintage piece of French fabric which I found in my favourite junk shop, although it's not really a junk shop, called Pimpernel and Partners, I think, or Co. And it used to be on the New Kings Road, but it's just closed down. Again, a junk shop find. This is my little table runner from Anthropologie. Then this round table in the corner was also not very nice to look at, so I covered it. That was here, so I covered it with just some tablecloths. And then I have my photos that I had in Fulham, some plants, and then lots more pictures to brighten up the grim modern white walls. Another Klimt canvas, a picture of what I think is York. It reminds me of doing my MA there. Is that embroidered? No, it's just a print from a junk shop on Brick Lane. I think it's called This Shop Rocks. Another Klimt from This Shop Rocks, and another picture from This Shop Rocks, which looks like the Italian Riviera, or no, I think one of the lakes. And that reminds me of the holiday my mum and I took to Lake Como. Then a really cheap lamp. Actually, was it that cheap? From Zara Home. One of my favourite Van Gogh pictures from This Shop Rocks. Another cheap Wilko lamp. Just a little tray table. And then these really handy metal shelves that I got from IKEA and I think cost about £10. I like the look of them, and they're really useful, and you can even disassemble them pretty easily, so they're good if you move. The clock was also from IKEA. There's some tablecloths, some potted plants, napkins, candles, candlesticks. My friend Becca just bought me these lovely, is that teal? These dark blue candlesticks, again from IKEA, junk shop, an enamel company. I don't know who did that. That's IKEA, that print there, which is actually, I don't think you'd ever guess was from IKEA. Then lots of bowls. I think I got these in Oliver Bonus. These pretty old-fashioned glasses, also IKEA. A few plants, postcards, storage jars, my candle from the Fulham flat, milk jugs, bowls, cake stand, another plant, jugs, just plates, trifle bowls, my little Just Add Toast picture. I forgot oh, hang on. Oh, it just says Lucky Lobster Art, so I'm not sure the name of the woman who did that. And then some gardening things down here, which actually I have to take the window boxes into the bathroom to do the gardening. But here's some string, pencils, clippers, plant label stick things, plates, and just odds and ends. Oh, napkins down there. And then in the kitchen was actually one of the things I liked about the flat when we first viewed it, because it is actually quite pleasant, even though it's modern and reasonably dark even in the day. The only form of light is the artificial light, you see. But I liked it, and I was really pleased with these two wooden shelves, and I've done absolutely as much as I can with them. Filled them with, all the things that were in my Fulham flat, and then a few more. Hung some pretty pennies. This is Anthropologie, and my mum made me this lovely 50s-esque pinny for my birthday, which I was delighted with, and just oven gloves. And then I hung some utensils in this blank space, and little gingerbread men. And it might be too busy for some people, but I really love it. And I've got my jars. Why isn't this focusing? Okay, got my jars. Oh, I should put that in the oven any minute. And then the rest is pretty boring, really. Nothing nice to show here, except I quite like this bowl, which is also from Zara Home. They have quite good sales sometimes as well, where we've put our coffee espresso capsules. So that's my little kitchen, and it looked, as you can imagine, a lot starker, a lot more empty before I came along. My clutter or maximalism, it grates on Dave's nerves a bit, so, but considering I say I'm the only one that really uses the kitchen because I do all the cooking and cleaning, I'm kind of, I feel I'm entitled to put my stamp on it. However, I seem to have put my stamp on the whole of the room, and he did say to only put one picture on each wall to begin with, which I honestly forgot, and now it's a pretty full room. But I also think a lovely room and a cozy one. I'm just sad the sun is not out, so I could show you it in the sun, because it gets the evening sun from about 6 to 8 or 9 o'clock in the summer. And so that is our living, dining, kitchen room where we spend most of our time. I just show you the shelves again. I think this is my favourite bit of the whole house, these little shelves. I probably mentioned where most of these things are from before, because they were scattered through the Fulham flat. But I really do love them, and it makes me feel at home. And I think it's good to explore different things, not just, you know, if you're a writer, not just keep writing, or if you're a musician, not just keep making music, but every now and then take a complete break and do something utterly different. Certainly I'm interested in so many different things, and I've loved having the chance to decorate as far as I could our new home. By the way, all the pictures are fixed to the wall with command hooks, which are double-sided sticky kind of tape, which doesn't mark the wall when you take them off. So we can leave this room completely as we found it, and no one will be any the wiser. And now at the end of this video, I will try and include a photograph of the room as it was before. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour. Bye. So the sun decided to come out after all. I started laying out the dinner things, but you can see the room is really, really lovely in the sun, and it's nice because I guess we're in here most in the evening, and the sun is also here in the evening. So here is our little room. It's actually not a bad sized room by London standards. Here is our little living room. One evening late in June, Dave is in the gym. I am keeping an eye on some things in the oven and showing you the sunshine.